guys, welcome to the Grape Juice Podcast. This is our first ever episode. My name is Lala. I am your host, and this is my co-host and husband, Hunter.
Hello.
So I wanted to preface the podcast by saying that I still intend on doing this podcast with my sister, Summer. It's just that the cards aren't really aligned for that right now. Our schedules just aren't really matching up lately, and she has some personal stuff going on as well, so, but hopefully we'll be able to get her on here for future episodes. Until then, you'll just have to deal with Hunter.
Sorry. I'm a substitute.
So, I do have a lot of ideas for this podcast, but I just want to keep the first episode simple. So I figured that we could start off the podcast with a segment that I came up with. I'm still playing with the name, but for now we're going to call it Rambling On.
Rambling.
So when it comes to rambling on, that's exactly what it is. We're just going to be rambling about stuff. Any grievances that we might have.
There's a lot of them.
Anything, any interests that we have currently. Fun facts, just random stuff like that. So, do you have anything you want to talk about that you want to ramble on about?
Yeah, how come people don't say excuse me anymore? Like when you're walking around, we were walking in Walmart earlier today, and had 8 people just about walk into us. We're standing there, and they about take your toes off with their cart because they're stuck in their phone, or they're staring at the shelf as you're walking by, and you'll be like, "Excuse me" to them, and they just keep on going.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw something recently where there was a study about that done, about people being more rude, I guess, since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Since COVID happened. And I guess the theory is that everybody had been cooped up in their houses for so long, they basically forgot how to be a decent human being.
Yeah, I agree.
How you should interact with other people. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that as well, especially working in retail and stuff like that.
Well, it's got me in a state of mind, I've gotten to where I don't want to go into public a whole lot anymore. I'd rather be at home with you, or we go do something just together that doesn't involve a lot of people. If we go kayaking or something like that, it's just me and you. I don't have to hear a bunch of traffic and a bunch of other people jibber jabbing about nonsense.
Yeah, I feel you.
I feel like our jobs stress us out enough, and when we're not at them, I don't want to deal with people.
Yeah, and we both have to deal with people at our jobs, so. What's something that I want to talk about?
Maybe our difference in style, because I'm looking at this screen right now, and we look like polar opposites.
Opposites attract.
That's right, opposites attract. I don't think I'd look as good in black like you do, though.
Yeah.
It's your color.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of grievances that I have, but if I voice them, I'm just gonna go on a whole political rant. So I'm just.
We don't want to get canceled first episode.
I don't. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of something. Oh yeah, so we were talking about the new Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah.
Coming out. So I think how much are they? Hold on, wait, let me look it up.
I know Mario Kart. It's either $80 or $100 now, and I think that's crazy to pay for Mario Kart.
So if you pre-order it, which I don't know. Usually when you pre-order things, are they less or more than if you get them?
Back when I used to pre-order games like for the Xbox when they were still like on a disc, you used to get like a lot of special stuff when you pre-ordered, and you got it a little bit before most people. But I don't think the price ever changed. Like the last game I pre-ordered was a long time ago. It was Black Ops 2, and I'm still pretty sure I paid the $59.99 or whatever it was back then.
So I'm on Nintendo's website right now, and to pre-order it, it's $449.99.
God dang.
Yeah.
I paid. We had the first generation Switch, and brand new, it was like $300. Yeah, like $300.
And if you get the Nintendo Switch 2 plus Mario Kart World Bundle,
God,
it's $500.
good lord.
And then I think I heard that the games are going to be starting out at like $80.
That's insane. Who
Yeah.
can afford that?
So like to get 2 games, you'll have to spend $160 before tax.
What if the games suck too?
Well,
You
it's
just spent
well.
80
See,
bucks
that's
on
my
it.
thing. Though I mean, like, not to down on Nintendo or anything, but like, there's only so much that you can play on Nintendo. I feel
Yeah.
like you can't play Call of Duty
No.
on Nintendo.
You got Pokemon, Mario.
Yeah, like the basic Nintendo brand
Right.
stuff. So you're gonna have, Mario. You're gonna have like Animal Crossing. You're gonna have what else? I mean, like basically any game that you could play on the DS.
Right.
Like
Well, and
that type of stuff.
Nintendo has their subscription service now, and through the subscription service, you can play older games. Like they just added a bunch of the GameCube side, and they have a Game Boy side. I think they have an N64 emulator on there. But what sucks is that you can't just buy the games and play them. You can only play them through the subscription service. Like you can't download them onto the Switch.
So basically, if you want to get full use out of your Nintendo Switch 2, which honestly, just the name itself is like, it doesn't roll off the tongue that easily. Like, I feel like they could have come up with, like, I don't know, a catchier name or something. I don't know. I don't have any better ideas personally, but I just think, I have the Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah.
And like, what's going on with the old Nintendo Switch?
So,
like, how's that working? Like, are you still able to use your
Yeah.
original Nintendo Switch?
Yeah, you just won't be able. The cartridges for the Switch 2, I think they're fatter, so you can't use them on it. I think you can use original Switch games on it too, though.
Of course.
Kind of like how when the DS came out, it had the Game Boy slot in the bottom, which that was the shiz.
Well, the Wii, you could play GameCube games on the Wii.
I love my GameCube.
Anyway, yeah, that sucks. I personally wouldn't buy this.
No.
Just because, like, I'm not much of a Nintendo person anyway. Like, I feel like I would get better use out of a console that was more versatile, like an Xbox or a PlayStation or
Steam Deck.
a Steam Deck, which they're already predicting that those are going to fly off the shelves because of this.
Yeah, I don't think the Switch 2 is going to sell as well as they might think it is. For your diehard like Nintendo fanboys, it will, but for anybody else, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like Nintendo's kind of been in a spot like that within the last, like, 5 years anyway. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like they've been kind of, like, grasping at straws, like, trying to figure out, like, a new idea, and this is the best, like, the next best thing that they could come up with was...
Right. And I mean, how much have you seen me play our Switch in the last few years? I can probably count on one hand as many times I've picked our Switch up in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I just haven't touched it. We use it for Hulu for our guest room. That's really about all it's used for now.
Yeah.
And what's up with that? Why can you only get Hulu on? Like, why can't I get Netflix and Max and all that? I would use it a lot more.
When I had the Wii, I remember that you could only get Netflix on it, and then maybe Hulu as well. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was really just Netflix that you could use on the Wii. So that seems to be a theme with them as well.
Yeah.
For some reason, you can only use one streaming service on their consoles.
You're gonna have a lot more people trying to mod their original Switches, I bet.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. They already do it.
What else?
This is our dog, Honey, by the way.
Yeah.
We were gonna put her like up so she didn't like run around while we filmed this. But we were afraid she was gonna whine to get out, so she's just part of it now. We're being good though. We're being a good beagle. We found her in the yard. I went to go to work one day and she ran up to me and she was sitting in the middle of the street and she ran over to me and I picked her up and I had already locked our front door. I banged on it and she opened the door and I was like, here you go. And I left. She's been here ever since. Yeah, right.
Oh, so I'm looking at some current events. Apparently, Elton John can't watch his sons play rugby after eyesight loss.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So, I think he has like 2 sons. And they're adopted because I think his partner is a man. I'm not sure who though. But it says that he can't see the telly.
That sucks.
Elton John cannot watch the telly anymore, and he says he hasn't been able to see anything since last July.
Oh, that sucks.
But it's weird because I think he did a performance with Chapel Roan, which,
really?
Yeah, which she's kind of getting a lot of flack in the media right now too. So apparently what's going on with Chapel Roan, at least, well, I'm not sure so much in the media, but I know on TikTok, she has been getting a lot of hate because she recently went on a podcast called Call Her Daddy, I think it's called. Yeah, it's called Call Her Daddy. She recently went on this podcast and essentially, so Chapel's whole brand is being a lesbian. That's like her whole image and everything. And she writes songs about the queer experience and stuff. And I can't really recall what the question was or what really sparked the conversation in the podcast, but essentially it had to do with her not speaking out, I guess, on LGBTQ plus issues. And some people think that it's because she doesn't really care about those problems, that she's just capitalizing off of them. So,
yeah. It's
Yeah.
sad that people will use touchy subjects like that just to make $1.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not saying that that's what she's doing, but you can't help but look at it that way, because a lot of people were praising her after her performance at the Grammys, because she performed Pink Pony Club. And
oh, is that who sings that song?
Yeah,
okay.
Chapel Roan. And also, she gives a lot of credit to drag queens. If you look at her makeup, it's drag inspired. So a lot of people just have a problem with her now because it's just like, you were so open about talking about this, and you even do your makeup like this, but you don't feel like, because she literally said in the interview, well, I don't have time for that. I barely have time, to eat, to sleep, to do this, to do that. But I will say that she did have enough time to get up on stage at the Grammys and talk about how recording artists deserve more support from their record labels.
Right.
So apparently she has enough time to speak out about that, but
Yeah.
anything else, you know.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I'm not in the music industry, so I'm not sure. But you know, you always think of a music artist like having like a manager or a label or something like that. With like technology today, like we're doing this podcast, right? I mean, does a music artist really need all that anymore? Because they can pretty much get their music out there on their own now, right? But I guess if you want to be like A class popular, you know, you need to go through people that know the right people, I guess, to get your name out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure it's more complicated than that. I mean,
Right.
there's definitely artists that have achieved fame and, you know, success without the use of a record label. I think Tommy Richmond might be one of them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I could be completely wrong on that, but
Is SoundCloud still a thing?
yeah.
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 We should start a band.
Maybe. I do have some people that want to be in a band with me, but I haven't really picked up an instrument in a while, so
I've never picked up an instrument. I could be a backup dancer.
yeah. Alright, is there anything else that we would like to discuss or talk about before we move on to our main topic of the day, of the episode?
Yeah, I do.
What's up?
Why do cars got to be so complicated?
Yeah.
You knew I was going to talk about this.
Yeah.
So we have a truck. We have a Nissan Frontier. It's a 2017. Bought it brand new. It's been fantastic. It has carried us through majority of our relationship. Took us to Louisiana. Took us to Tennessee. Back to where we are now, and it's never had a problem. Like 2 weeks ago, it started doing some bad stuff. Like it was slipping, and when it did shift, it feels like somebody just punched it. And I was worried it was a transmission problem. I was like, oh, damn, it's gonna be a lot of money out the window right here. And thankfully, I've got a friend that specifies in those trucks, but he's a Nissan mechanic, and he said that it was a crankshaft position sensor. And sure enough, we drove it today because it stopped doing it, and I wanted to see if it would throw a code, turn a light on, and it did. And sure enough, a little sensor this big makes the truck undrivable when it goes out. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like we have an '85 Chevrolet in the backyard. Doesn't have anything like that on it. It's just motor. Anyway, that's my rant for the day.
Alright, well, like I said, I think I've already I've kind of dipped my toes in the whole political thing for this episode, and I don't really have any grievances that don't have that element, so I guess we're just going to go ahead and move on to our main topic of the day. So, a few weeks ago, I watched a documentary on Hulu. I had heard about it on another podcast that I listened to. And it is, so basically it's called, hold on, let me see. It's called Amish Witches, or no, it's called The Real Amish Witches. So there's two specials that they have on Hulu, and it was the Lifetime Original Movie Network that filmed both of these, I believe. So you have Amish Witches, the true story of Holmes County. So this was the movie that they filmed that is based off of the actual Amish witches that were in the documentary that I watched. I haven't seen the movie because I didn't really see the point in watching it. You know, if it's based off of these women that they had in the documentary, I didn't really see the point in watching the movie. So
Yeah.
I've just seen the documentary, which, like I said, the documentary's name is The Real Amish Witches, for those of you who might be interested in watching it. It's only an hour, it's not that bad. I just thought it was interesting because you don't typically hear Amish and witch in the same sentence.
Or electricity.
So, that obviously piqued my interest. So apparently there are Amish witches, and they practice, I don't know how you pronounce it. I thought it was pronounced Bruja, but I think that's the Hispanic form of,
Amish witchcraft?
yeah.
So it's...
Or no, it's like it's the Hispanic form of witchcraft.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm assuming that it's not accepted amongst the Amish community, or is it?
So, let me see. I'm just trying to figure out how you would say this. Oh, hold on.
What?
Hold on. Let me turn the volume up on my laptop.
Braucherei. Braucherei.
Brohahai?
Braucherei.
Brofafai.
That sounds like a character name in Lord of the
So,
Rings.
Brofafai. We're just going to call it Amish Witchcraft, though, because I don't want to mispronounce this and offend anybody or whatever. So, Amish Witchcraft, Brofafai, however the fuck you say it. I believe we're 10 minutes in at least, so... I wasn't expecting to get any money from this video anyway, but, in the off chance.
This will be for a recap video 10 years from now, while we're sitting on our yacht doing our live show.
Hell yeah, brother.
Are we at 10 minutes? Oh, y'all gonna need a close up of my face. We're at 24 minutes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Oh my gosh, burst my throat to do that. I can usually do a better Hulk Hogan impression. Okay, anyway.
I can do a really good Smeagol impression.
Okay.
But y'all don't get that until we hit like 100,000 subs.
Yeah. Okay, so Amish witchcraft. So back to what you were saying. The whole acceptance thing seems to be a little here and there. So I would say as a whole, it is not accepted by the Amish community.
Yeah.
But you do have certain individuals that will basically request the services of an Amish witch, an Amish. And I don't even know if they... Well, yes... In the documentary, they do have male Amish witches. I think there was like a community in the documentary that that had a specific like thing going on where only the men were witches or something.
Is it for Is it for healing?
Yeah. So
like a witch doctor,
so from what I understand, there are certain people that will request the services of an Amish witch, but typically it happens in secret just because it is not fully accepted by the community. So like in a documentary, for example, there was this woman who had to wait until it was nighttime because apparently her baby was sick with something, like it was just fussing a lot. And so this woman had to like wait until nighttime and sneak over to one of the witch's houses, where nobody would see her, right, and
get suspicious.
Get, her baby healed. So in the documentary, it follows 3 witches. 2 of them were already a part of the community that this documentary takes place in. I can't remember the name of it. But it was an Amish
Omelet.
country, so that could be like anywhere between Ohio, Pennsylvania, and I mean even like in other places they have Amish communities. So
Does Florida have an Amish community?
yeah,
Really?
like I think it's around Sarasota or
Oh my
something.
gosh.
Yeah.
They ain't got no air conditioner in Florida.
So anyway, two of the women, they were already a part of this community, and then there was a third one. I can't remember what their names were, but the third one, she had came from another Amish community, and there was word circling around that she used her witchcraft for bad and did something in the previous community that she lived in. Something bad, and I can't remember if she ended up being exiled from said community or if she just ran off.
Did she do something or someone?
Well, see, that's what some people are. That's what somebody was speculating, that like she must have slept with somebody.
Somebody's husband.
Like that's what they thought, and that was like she was basically trying to spin that and embellish that and be like, oh, like they drove me out or whatever. So anyway, two of them believe that you should only use Amish witchcraft for healing. You're only supposed to use it for, good. And then this other girl openly admitted in the documentary that she hexes people, she curses people.
So there is a dark
stuff
side
like
to
that. Well, I mean, just like any witchcraft, there is if you decide to walk on that side of it.
There's something there's something creepy about like Amish, like dark witchcraft to me. That seems like it would be really rough.
Well, it was just interesting. It was interesting to me because, like I said, you don't typically hear those two words in the same sentence.
Yeah.
I mean, I have heard very, very few, but I have heard of people who are Christian that identify as witches, which is very few and far between. But the whole Amish thing, it just really piqued my interest, because the Amish people, they seem to be like really into their religion, which I looked it up, and Amish people follow the Anabaptist denomination of Christianity. So it says that the Amish are a group known for their simple living, plain dress, pacifism, and separation from modern conveniences, and they have roots in Swiss and Alsatian regions, and a focus on community and Anabaptist principles.
Huh.
And then when you look up Anabaptists are a Christian denomination that emerged during the Protestant Reformation, emphasizing adult baptism, pacifism, and a literal interpretation of the Sermon on the Mount, with groups like the Amish and Mennonites being notable examples. So, unlike baptism, because I grew up a Southern Baptist, I know that when I followed that faith, there was an emphasis on baptism, but like you could be a kid and get baptized.
Right.
So what they're saying is, in their religion, you can only be an adult and get baptized. You can't be an infant.
Right.
You can't, even be like a kid, I guess.
At least you're old enough to make the choice.
Yeah. So that's the religion that they follow, which, is another reason why I was just like, oh, wow, that's kind of crazy. There would be,
What is
witchcraft.
I can't remember the word for it. Once Amish kids get to a certain age, I know they get to do a thing where they get to leave home or something for 2 weeks, I think, and that's when they decide if they're gonna stay Amish or not be Amish and join the what's that called?
Rumspringer?
Yeah, that's what
I
it's
think.
called.
Oh yeah, and I forgot. So it was Betsy. So Betsy is the one who. So I don't really remember it ever being confirmed if she did use her witchcraft or her abilities, whatever you want to refer to it as. I don't recall if she ever used it for the intention of healing people. I do remember there was a scene in the documentary where like there was like this really sick guy and they were all holding hands and the one closest to the guy had her hand on him and the one at the end had her free hand in a glass of water or like a bowl of water. And they claimed that like I guess they were basically like taking the bad, like they were absorbing the bad energy from this guy and it was supposed to like flow through them and then basically like into the water.
Like a magnet.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Betsy, you know, the outcast one, I remember when they were doing that, she was just like complaining the whole time. Like she was like, "Oh, this is taking so long. Whenever I do this, it doesn't take this long." So I guess, you know, you could, you know, put two and two together and maybe she has healed people or tried to. But I forgot, so this is like a really interesting tidbit that I remembered. So she claimed that she got pregnant by a demon. And that was the reason why she had left her former community.
Oh.
So I think that's the reason why and it, you know, if it was between the women of the community that they were kind of theorizing like, oh, she must have just slept with somebody's husband.
Yeah.
But then the question, you know, is where's the baby?
Right.
Because I don't remember seeing a baby or even really being mentioned after that.
Did she get rid of the baby?
I don't know. And then there's some people who say that it's not even a documentary, that it was a mockumentary. Like it was mocking the idea of it. So I don't know.
Sounds like she's freaky.
So,
she left so she could be freaky somewhere else.
And then apparently she has the OnlyFans.
Yeah, she left so she could get freaky. That's all.
So I'm looking at a Reddit thread right now, and somebody said, Betsy is a mess. I have followed her on Facebook for years, and it is pretty sad. She's functionally homeless and primarily lives in her car. She will sporadically stay with her parents in the Amish community, but also seems to move in with random men for a couple of weeks to a month or so, but then will quickly break up and be homeless again. She hasn't held a job for several years. She has 2 daughters, which I didn't see them in the documentary either.
Did they come from the demon?
I don't know. Maybe.
Different demon.
She barely I mean, how cool would it be though? Be like, yeah, my dad's a demon.
Yeah, as your baby's flying around the room.
Or there's crows, like a
Yeah.
whole murder of crows just surrounding the house.
Yeah.
If y'all catch that reference, major kudos to you. I'm talking about American Horror Story. I think it might have been like the 9th season where they really delved into like Michael Langdon's backstory. But that's how they basically found out that he was the Antichrist, because he had all these like murders of crows. I don't know. I don't know if it was multiple murders of crows or it could have just been one big ass murder of crows.
Is that the season where the world ended?
Yeah.
And there was all the witches and
yeah,
warlocks
and
underground?
the seasons. I know that it was at least seasons 3. Oh yeah, okay. It was seasons 1 and 3 that kind of finally crossed roads in season 9.
And at the end, everything goes back to normal, right?
Yeah. Anyway, this goes on to say she has 2 daughters she barely sees because her abusive ex has full custody. She really got severely damaged by the Amish community. It's terrible that people who leave the community are so poorly set up to have any kind of normal functioning life due to the community grossly neglecting the education of their children.
Yeah.
So again, this is all alleged. I'm literally reading this off of Reddit. This could be all BS for all that we know.
Did it get really dark in here all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and apparently she was in Breaking Amish.
I never watched that. Was it good?
I think it was a show.
We should watch that later. Yeah, it was a show.
Breaking Amish. So she was in Breaking Amish. So is this? So now I'm really questioning: is this documentary like actually for real or not? Because it just seems like it's like a ploy or like a.
Do you remember the show Amish Mafia?
Yeah, that was so like obviously fake though.
It was funny though. Like
Yeah.
Jebediah had a brand new F-250 Platinum.
But they're Amish.
Yeah, he upgraded from the buggy.
So yeah, but anyway, at the end of the documentary, so I think in the documentary, Betsy the outcast, she basically ended up running off on the plug twice, and then like they had to end the documentary because of that, because they were like, oh no, you know, because I think she's like what really made the documentary, just because she was like a polar opposite of the other two girls.
Right.
So it like cuts off, and then they go back, like I can't remember, it was like at least a year or two later, and once they revisit the whole thing, none of them are Amish anymore.
Huh.
Like even the two other Amish witches, they completely left the community, and I think they were able to follow up with Betsy eventually, and like she was just saying that she was doing better, but she like still struggles with like darkness and stuff. And then even while they were interviewing her like underneath a street lamp or something, and it started like flickering and then like just totally like blowing out. Yeah.
That's creepy.
So, but let me see if I can find anything about Amish witchcraft practices.
I wonder if they have something similar to like voodoo dolls.
So it says, while the Amish are known for their strong Christian faith, some Amish communities, particularly in Pennsylvania, have a history of folk practices and beliefs that are sometimes labeled as witchcraft, though they are more accurately described as brujerie, or however you say that word, or powwowing, which is a form of faith healing. So you had brought the powwowing thing to me earlier today. And so that kind of makes me wonder, I wonder if at some point in history these people came into contact with Native Americans.
Probably.
Because I don't understand why else he would use the term powwow.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want that to sound ignorant, but like, you know, Native Americans have powwows.
Right.
But then, I don't know, but then I'm also questioning how are they getting away from that, like getting away with that? Because that seems like it might be a little offensive. I don't know. Anyway, so powwowing, or the other word that I can barely pronounce, it says this folk practice, which is rooted in Christianity. So this is magic, apparently, or practice that is rooted in Christianity.
Right.
It says it involves seeking healing and protections through prayers, rituals, and the use of herbs and charms. So I do know that there are some Christian witches that do use, I think they call it bibliomancy. It's literally like, it's literally where you just like, I don't know, you literally like just like kind of let the book fall open on its spine, and whatever scripture or what have you shows up, that's like your message or something. I don't know. I've never done it before.
So it's like a magic. It's like a magic 8-ball.
And I know that a lot of people use like psalms for healing and in practices like this. I'm sure that that's probably what they do. They probably use something along those lines. It does go as far to say though that it is not witchcraft in the modern sense. It says that it's important to note that powwowing is not the same as modern witchcraft or Wicca, which often involve pagan beliefs and practices. So, I don't know if I agree with this. I think that they're just trying to hide behind the term, because, and not to ruffle any feathers or anything, but, you know, Jesus, if you want to get literal, and, you know, you can look in the Bible, it's a fact. He did, in a way, practice witchcraft.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude made water into wine.
Yeah.
And he walked on water. And he gave sight to the blind.
Yeah.
So, I just think that they like to hide behind the word because, I mean, in reality, this is witchcraft.
Right.
You know, the thing that they're, you know, afraid of. So, because I mean, like, when you're using divination and stuff like that, I mean, that pretty much it's witchcraft.
Magic.
Yeah. It says it has Christian roots, so the practices were seen as a way to invoke God's power for healing and protection, rather than as a form of magic or sorcery. So it looks like with a lot of the explanations of this, they want to really drive it home that this is not witchcraft, and it does not use magic or sorcery. So examples of practices include prayers and rituals. Amish people may use specific prayers and rituals to ward off evil spirits or heal illnesses. Protection from witches.
Oh, really?
So it says some Amish believe in the existence of witches, even though if they're currently practicing witchcraft, that would make them a witch. It says some Amish believe in the existence of witches and evil spirits and may hang a horseshoe above a door or use specific prayers and rituals to ward off malevolent entities.
I thought you were going to say they hang a horse above their door.
No. And then it says Hexenmeisters.
The heck is that?
In the past, Pennsylvania had a tradition of Hexenmeisters, which in parentheses it says spellcasters.
Huh.
So again, they're casting spells and stuff, but that's not witchcraft. And it says they were seen as a reactionary force against dark witches, with their magic rooted in Christianity. And then books that are mentioned in this field are John George Homan's The Long Lost Friend, which was printed as early as 1820, and it is a popular source of knowledge for those interested in powwowing. And then another one that's been used is a book written by Albertus Magnus, and it's called Egyptian Secrets.
Ooh.
So, do they use Egyptian elements? It says it's a 3-volume book compiled by Albertus Magnus titled Egyptian Secrets. Okay. And that was made in 1869.
Oh my God.
And then there's another one called Rachel Smoker. And it says an old Amish woman named Rachel Smoker and others like her practice what they call natural healing and reflexology. It has quotations around it, so that's why I'm doing it. It says it is sometimes referred to as brahari or whatever, powwow, or folk cultural religious ritual. Okay?
That's a tongue twister.
Yeah. So... yeah. So it seems like Amish witchcraft does exist, but they just don't like to call it witchcraft. They would rather call it healing or using God's power, you know, through them, you know, etc., etc. Let me see if I can find some more, because I kind of want to know what exactly do they do? Like, what do they use? Like, besides the Bible and stuff.
We should watch the documentary.
Okay, so I was right. So, it says claimed Native American connections, however spurious, were a key element of the 19th century development of American spiritualism. It says although some powwowers of Native American descent have practiced powwow, and some powwowers have claimed that Native American spirit guides have assisted them in healing rituals, the tradition is distinct from the Native American practice of powwow. The powwow doctor in the Ozarks, known as Power Doctor, was also a common role across the country at this era's medicine shows. So, let me see. Okay, so practice and diffusion. So it says traditionally powwowers use a variety of gestures, body movements, and incantations along with material objects and substances. Incantations are typically performed subvocally, so this means moving lips without making an audible sound.
What?
So that the patient can see the act performed but hear nothing.
Weird.
It says in a publication from 2015, Cribble says the incantations were now typically memorized, but in the past have been dependent on a variety of texts. The practice flourished until the 1920s, when the practice went underground. Before that, powwowers could be found advertising their services in Pennsylvania German cultural regions. So it seems like this was kind of accepted at one point, but then it kind of became more covert as time went on, it seems like.
Right.
And then that also made me remember something. So this type of practice, I'll call it, it seems to be something that has to be passed down. Like, it can't just be something that you read
just
about.
Pick up one day.
Like, they have to learn it from people, because just like this said, you know, they use subvocal incantations. So that basically means that the lips are moving, but you can't hear anything. And it said that that these incantations had to be memorized.
I wonder, like...
So they obviously had to, like, be put... they had to be like, you had to learn it from someone. You can't just pick up a book and be like, oh, this is how it happens.
I wonder how often a new witch arises.
Like, do they have? I wonder if they have covens.
Yeah, and also like, is there like a test you have to do, like in front of an actual witch to prove like you're skilled enough?
Yeah.
Or do you just make the claim one day and you just start doing it? You know.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely very interesting.
Yeah, it seems like it can get very dicey, especially for the Amish community.
So it does say that there was a 1929 witch trial.
Really?
Yep. Let me see. So, it just says that when reporters from New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore descended on York, Pennsylvania, where the trial was held, the witch trial, I guess, the result was a series of sensational reports portraying the Pennsylvania Dutch, so I guess that's another term to refer to the Amish as. It says that they portrayed them as backward people, mirrored. I don't know how you say that word. It's spelled M-I-R-E-D. and superstition, which I remember that being discussed in the documentary. They were saying that, you know, the Amish, they're very ostracized from the rest of society.
Yeah.
And so they tend to kind of be very superstitious. So they believe in like, oh, if you break a mirror, you're gonna have 7 years bad luck, or oh, if you see a black cat cross your
So
path.
they are really superstitious.
Yeah, so they're superstitious. So I guess they do believe that there are witches, both bad and good, even though they don't like to refer to powwowing as witchcraft. I don't know. That's
It's like they just try to ignore it and hope
yeah.
it goes away.
So it says that local officials reacted defensively, ordering a program of scientific education to eradicate this superstition. Today, perhaps folklorists or anthropologists would enter the discussion and explain powwowing in its cultural context, but in 1929, the social pressures to conform to the ideology of scientific progress were too great, which I think is kind of interesting considering the time. Like, they were kind of pushing these people to have more of a scientific,
Right.
you know, outlook on things, which you would think they would be the opposite during that time.
During
But
the 20s? Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, but I want to find out more, like, do they use, like, the Bible? Do they use, like, wands or anything? Let me see. So it does say the practice, it does keep, like, honing in on the fact that the practice is focused specifically on healing people. That's all that's supposed to be used
Right.
for. And these people, and that's another thing to note that I forgot to mention. These people, they believe that they get this power from God himself and no one else.
Right.
So, like, they give all the credit to God whenever somebody's healed or whatever.
And not the
So,
skills of the person.
They
you
think that it's blasphemous to take credit for that. Like, they basically see themselves as just a vessel for God, basically.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and it says that it's grounded in German esoteric traditions, but it has developed and become wholly unique in the 2 centuries since. So, and like there's some examples that they have from a book. Oh, the Long Lost Friend book that we mentioned. So, here's 2 remedies from the book. So, a good remedy for those who cannot keep their water. So, I guess that means, like, who can't stop vomiting, which I probably could have used the other day. It says, burn a hog's bladder to powder and take it inwardly.
Take it inwardly.
So, I guess you have to burn a hog's bladder to the point to where
Powder.
you can grind it into a powder, and then you have to ingest that.
I wonder how they ingest it. Like,
so, and then it says a good remedy to stop bleeding, and then it says this is the day on which the injury happened. Blood thou must stop until the Virgin Mary bring forth another son. Repeat these words 3 times, and then you should stop bleeding.
huh?
Yeah.
Maybe the powder's clotting the wound, basically.
So this one is basically reiterating what I talked about a little while ago. So, you know, it's just further confirming the whole use of verbal incantations, gestures, and body positions. Sorry, I cannot talk today. And and material components such as manipulation of physical objects. So, and this guy says that every living powwower that he has interviewed has his or her recipes committed to memory, and none of them uses any of the charm books described above or other written sources historically employed by powwowers. Okay, and then it says it can be speculated that the decline in the use of such books is a result of the 1929 York witch trial.
Huh.
So I guess, I don't know, I might be right. This might be something that has to be passed down, and they have to memorize it, because if they have any physical forms of this stuff, I guess they're afraid of another trial, happening. So they all have to, like, basically memorize it in their head.
Huh.
Like, they don't have, like, a grimoire or a book of shadows or anything like that, and they don't, allegedly, they don't use any books written by anybody else for this stuff. So, that would lead me to believe that it's something that has to be taught to them.
So it's slightly off topic. There's an anime show called Castlevania.
Yeah.
And in Castlevania, there's these people called the Speakers.
Uh-huh.
And they have speaker magicians, and that's how they are. They don't have any written books anywhere. They pass down the knowledge of the magic through the generations, and they're supposed to be like a walking library. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a good show.
So somebody commented on it named Robert Phoenix. Which, again, is this guy Amish?
I don't...
Because, like, if you're on a computer, my guy, like...
Well, I mean, the Amish have generators now. And, like, light bulbs.
Well, I thought that goes against their religion.
I guess if... I don't know. I guess if it doesn't come from the power company, then it don't matter.
Anyway, this guy named Robert Phoenix says that he is a powwow, and I have many clients that regularly come to me for healing, hex removal, protective talismans, etc. It is a tradition that is very much alive in Pennsylvania, even though some of the older folks would be happy to forget about it. I have a blog about it if you're interested. So I'm going to go to the blog really quick, and let's see if there
Powwow Guy
is any other... Oh, dude, he has, like, planets, like horoscopes and stuff.
What? No, puppy. Go lay down. That's crazy.
Okay, about me. Oh, wow, it's this guy.
He doesn't look Amish.
It says, I first began learning about powwow in the 1990s. It took me a while, but I eventually realized that this was the tradition for me. I threw myself into the study of the tradition, reached out to anyone and everyone that would help me to learn, and ultimately got to where I am today. I am 50 years old. Okay, we don't need to know about all that, Rob.
Yeah, I don't need to know what he did, the summer of '84 or anything.
Okay, it says, powwow is my lifestyle, and every day I learn something new to help me live my life more true to what I want it to be. It is my goal to learn the proper information about our tradition, share it with the world, and live it to my very best. So it says that he belongs to the modern-day German Reformed Church, and he classifies himself as a pietist.
A what?
And it says he believes that there is a mystical bond between man and God, and that through this mystical bond we are able to bring the powers of God into the world.
That sounds cool.
And it says there is a history of this in his family, so I'm guessing he must have learned it from them. Okay.
Oh, he's got videos.
Oh, he has books that he's written, guys.
Uh-oh. Free shout out to the Powwow Guy.
Healing rituals. Okay, that's what I'm kind of interested in.
He just rubs a raw zucchini on your leg, then it heals.
Okay, this isn't really... Okay, so it says... He claims that belief in God is crucial to the success of powwow. So, I wouldn't go as far as to say this is necessarily a closed practice, because, like, a closed practice would be something like, hoodoo or voodoo, like if you're not like descended from that culture, like you can't practice it. I wouldn't say that this really goes as far as that, but it does say, or he at least claims, that you do have to believe in God to practice this. So you cannot be somebody who does not believe in God and practice this.
That makes sense.
Let me see. Okay, so like the type of charms that he's talking about, it looks like they're just other verbal incantations. So he's talking about like for a headache, repeat Psalm 3 9 times. So it looks like a lot of this has to do with just like Bible verses, really. Oh, here's one. For sprains, tie 9 knots in black wool thread. Tie the thread around the sprained area, and in a soft muttering voice, so as not to be overheard, say, "The Lord rode, and the foal slipped. He lighted, and she righted. Set joint to joint, bone to bone, and sinew to sinew. Heal in the Holy Ghost's name."
What is sinew?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Like, is that word for like doing the deed, or bone to bone and sinew to sinew?
Let's see. Oh, it's a piece of tough fibrous tissue uniting muscle to bone or bone to bone, a tendon or a ligament.
I bet he popped the sinew.
So it just looks like a bunch of like verbal stuff, like from the Bible, and like it looks like little like poems and stuff that somebody must have written.
Some of them look pretty.
Because it says, like, to stop the wound from bleeding, it says, say 3 times over the wound, Mary goes throughout the land. She has 2 pitchers in her hand, and one is blood and one is water. Blood stay, water go.
See the one for burns? There's another for burns.
Huh. Okay, to remove negative witchery and return it to the witch. Boil a piece of beef, and while it is cooking, keep sticking it with a needle. The one who bewitched you will have the same pains, and the spell upon you will be broken.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if they do like egg cleanses and stuff.
I don't know. But I'm sure there's a lot more to it that we didn't really cover today in this episode. I'm sure that it's a lot more complex than what we've gone over, but
Oh, I'm sure.
that, it's really interesting. Hold on, wait, there's powwow tools. Okay, so it does say that it is not a particularly tool-heavy tradition, so they don't use, like, things like pendulums or anything like that, from what it looks like.
They're not sacrificing chickens and stuff.
It says, yeah, they use like the Holy Trinity, so the God, Son, or the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Bible they use. I guess they can use ritual books and grimoires. I guess this guy does. He does say that it is his advice that you should not create a personal grimoire of your own work. If someone should steal your book, it will render you powerless, according to history. So that's probably another reason why they memorize everything.
Right.
Because apparently they feel like if you do make your own grimoire or your own spell book or book of shadows or whatever, if someone were to steal it, then you wouldn't have your power anymore.
So you better keep it close.
They do use charm bags, and it's usually a cloth pouch, generally holding a charm for such things as reducing fevers, protection from illness, protection from spirits, and the the contents of the bag vary depending on the purpose. It says, like, for protection, the bag can contain a bit of iron or a sator square.
Are those dip cans?
I don't know.
They look like dip cans. Y'all can't see. That's when we get more technologically advanced, we'll set it up to where whatever she sees on the screen, you see. But it looks like there's a bunch of dip cans on a table.
It says they use herbs and home remedies a lot, but he does mention that that is not for everyone. Oh, it says they use pocket knives. They use talismans. They use string. Playing cards. Oh, so I did see that. So they cannot use tarot cards. No, okay, I remember. So they can't use tarot cards if you're Amish, I guess, because I don't think this guy is Amish. I think he just practices it.
Right.
But I just remembered in the documentary they can't have tarot cards, and I don't think they can even have playing cards. But what they did do was that they cut up calendars. And they use the calendar squares as, like, their cards, and they read them. And I guess each one has, like, its own meaning.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat,
And then he says a walking stick or a cane, chalk. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, if you guys are interested, check out this guy. I will make sure I link his website in my description. But he calls himself the Powwow Guy, and his name is Robert Phoenix, and he practices traditional Christian Pennsylvania German powwow, and he has all sorts of stuff on here. He tells you about himself. He has a garden, resources, a powwow kitchen.
He also has Pennsylvania Dutch food.
Yeah, astrology, learning to powwow, and he has all sorts of, like, rituals and tools and stuff like that y'all can look up. I mean, like I said, if you believe in this stuff and you're Christian and, you know, you might want to look into it. I mean, it says that it works if you believe in God, so I mean, it might be helpful to you. I don't know. He does have astrology on here, which I think is a little kind of like, what's the term for that? When something's like the opposite of, I don't know. That seems kind of weird though.
Yeah.
If you're a Christian, but anyway, who am I to judge?
Not hypocritical, is it?
Huh?
It's not hypocritical, is it?
No.
That refers to a person.
Yeah.
We'll think of it later.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, as soon as this is over, we'll think of it.
But anyway, is there anything that you learned about Amish witchcraft on your own, or?
Everything you just told me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, because, like, we both, like, we're like, oh, we should both, like, look up, because, you know, the documentary obviously only shows you so much, but it looks like this guy, like, teaches you about hexes and everything.
He's a hex girl?
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, he has all sorts of shit, like how to ensure safety from an angry dog. How to cure a person of worms. So, for any of you parents out there whose kids get pinworms, you might want to look into this shit. How to compel a dog, horse, or another animal to follow you. Okay.
I'm really proud of us because we're at an hour and 9 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think we'll probably cut it there. I don't really have much to say about this. Of course, if this reaches enough of an audience and y'all have questions or anything, you can ask. And, you know, if y'all have any questions for us, feel free to ask them. I don't think there's, like, really necessarily any off-limit questions for me anyway. I mean, I'm not going to tell you anything about my personal life or where I work or whatever, but if you have any questions for me, you know, you can just drop them in the comment section below. If you have any questions for Hunter, drop them down there, or for the both of us. Yeah.
My favorite color is green, if you were wondering.
Alright, I have to go use the bathroom, so I think that's a good time to cut this.
I'm gonna go take a shot of vodka.
And y'all stay safe out there, and just remember to treat others how you would like to be treated.
Yep, and watch out for Amish witches.
Yeah, because they out here.
They out here.
They out here.
They're witching it.
Yeah, they witching it up.
They out here doing it with demons.
And they got the power of Jesus behind them.
Yep. They're gonna powwow your ass.
Yep. Wow. Powwow.
Alright.
Alright.
Bye guys. Peace out. Keep it real.
Ha 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 ha!